thank you so much for doing this. It's been a while since we've seen you in the Maple Leafs blue and white. What have you been up to?
Yeah, it's been like 20 years. Time flies by pretty quick. Yeah, no, I've been living in West Kelowna. When I retired, I got into coaching at University of Calgary, and I got into the oil and gas industry. Jay being from Olds, I'm from Lloydminster. We know Alberta's oil and gas country, and I got into some service rigs and coil tubing units, which service downhole oil wells. So I've been doing that for 20 years with a couple of different partners, and just mainly doing business development, doing sales in Calgary. Now I live in West Kelowna full time and travel to Calgary like once a quarter, and and just enjoying my kids and coaching kids and junior hockey and university hockey. So a little bit of everything.
Sounds awesome. Cory, before we get into, some Maple Leaf stuff, you had kind of an unconventional path to the NHL. Can you tell us a little bit about, your path and how you made it, and maybe that supplemental draft that people might not know about these days?
Well, it's a pretty famous draft, isn't it?
Well, you're one of the best to come out of it, that's for sure.
John Cullen and I. Yeah. You know what? I do have a unusual path, and I was a really late bloomer. Hit puberty really late, and hockey, of course, is a puberty game. All the kids that hit puberty early get an advantage, but I hit it late and end up going to going into University of Alberta, just going to go to school, and I took an ice hockey class, and the coach of the team was the instructor of the class, and he pretty much recruited me out of that class. I went to him after a month of school and asked him if there was a place I could play, and I didn't have a vehicle. I lived right across the street from campus, so he gave me this junior B team's name, the Edmonton Royals, and I talked my roommate who had a car, talked him into playing as well, and we ended up having an unbelievable junior B team. It was all guys that were all buddies from South Edmonton and just going to university. So we probably could have beat some junior A teams that year. We had about 5 guys that should have been playing in the Western League, all going to university. So I played that, and then the coach invited me out to training camp the next year and made the team as an 8th defenseman. Just worked hard, and I just continued to get stronger and stronger, and ended up being top 4 defense in my second year, and we won the national championship. And then I got drafted in the supplemental draft to Tampa. Then the next year I became a league all-star, and we won the league again. And then I turned pro right after the season was over. So yeah, very, very unusual, but
that's awesome.
Good timing, good place, and good timing.
Yeah, that's a crazy pathway to get to the NHL. And then ultimately, as we know, you end up a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I love the Pat Quinn era, man. The black and blue Maple Leafs, you guys were just a joy to watch every year. I knew this team was, if they got to a Game 7, they're winning Game 7. They're a winning series. What was it like to play for the legendary Pat Quinn?
Well, it's funny how when I was playing, I was like, because in university we always had systems, and I could never figure out why in the NHL there wasn't a lot of systems play, and we went to Toronto and there was 0 systems. There was like nothing. So and I look back at it now and I'm like, you know what? He just recognized the skill and talent we had on the team, and just said, let's just drop the puck and go. And I remember some of our video meetings with Rick Lee and the poor video guy. He would put together 10 minutes of videos, and Rick Lee would literally put it on and we've seen this before, fast forward. We've seen this before. They're trapping. We know how to break that. We would go through the video literally in 2 minutes. We'd watch a little bit of power play, a little penalty kill, and that was it. And we were kind of looking around and we're like, Jesus, that's it, But that was the way Pat knew our team would be successful, and we just had so much talent on that team. Unfortunately, we got to the teams like New Jersey, who were structured, a little more structured and disciplined, and usually they got the best of us. But we all enjoyed playing for Pat, and he was such a great man.
Well, that's back in the era when it took hours and hours and hours to put together a video too, not like today. So that was an extra kick in the head. But when you look back at your time in Toronto, one particular D partner stand out to you as your favorite?
Well, Aki Berg was my partner for a couple of years, and him and I had a really good chemistry. And Brian Berard, when I first got there, Brian Berard and I were teamed up. And if he wouldn't have had that accent, I think we would have been really successful. He was one of those guys. We just had great chemistry, and I would just give him the puck and he would take off and I would stay back. And, so we had really good chemistry. And then Aki, of course, Aki was just a solid defenseman. We're very underrated.
What kind of leader was Matt Sundin?
Yeah, he was one of the best captains I played. I mean, I fortunately got to play with a lot of good captains: Yzerman, Messier, Mats. But Mats was one of those guys. We had a lot of characters in the room, a lot of personalities, and Mats, with his just calm demeanor, was able to keep our team together and going in the right direction. And he just would pick those times where we needed a lift or we needed our leader just calm the room, and he'd be that calming voice, and just do some things that you just like. It would just kind of set you back. You're like, wow.
I bet. Well, with your 3 seasons in Toronto, you won 4 series, which isn't a Stanley Cup, but to today's standards and what they've done in the last 15 plus years, it seems special. What do you remember about being a Leaf, being around that city while you're winning series and having success like that?
Well, I feel bad for the Leaf fans. It's been so long since they've won, and when we were there, we're like, oh, it would be amazing if we could win, right? I mean, I think every team says that. I mean, how much fun it would be to win a Stanley Cup in Toronto. And it was 2002, and Dmitry Yuskevich and myself and Scotty McKay, we were watching the Olympics, and Canada won, and the city just went ballistic, and we went down to Yonge Street. I said, well, let's just go down to Yonge Street, just catch a glimpse of what's going on. And the 3 of us are like, could you imagine if we won? Like, this town would be unbelievable. And I really thought we were going to win my last year in 2002. I thought we were going to win that year. We just had so many injuries, and we just ran out of gas. But it would just be unbelievable if that team could find a way to win.
There were so many legendary moments from that Maple Leafs team. For you specifically, round 1, 2001 playoffs, the Battle of Ontario, game 3. I believe it was Sergei Berezin had the puck, give it to Antropov. Antropov shoots it, as we see on the screen right now, and you hammer home the rebound. What do you remember about that goal in the OT winner in game 3?
Well, I remember we almost got scored on just before that, so I was like, oh my god. And I just followed the puck around, and when Nick took that shot, I was thinking, okay, he's either going to miss the net wide and it's going to come around the boards, or so I was kind of bussed into the boards, and then I saw the rebound and I just readjusted, and it bounced over my good buddy Rob Zomner's stick, and I just hit it perfectly. And I always, like Jay, when you play that level, you just always shoot at the same spots over and over again. So it just came to it was just a natural reaction for me to shoot in that spot.
Pretty special night, I bet. What you got to play in that 2014 alumni game at that big house? Had you been on your skates a lot prior to that, and what was that experience like? Pretty special to be in front of that crowd, I bet.
Yeah, that was fun. That was it was good that they had 2 alumni teams, because there's no way I'm making. I should have been on the 5th alumni team, but. You know what? I've been I was coaching in UFC and skating with there's oil patch leagues in Calgary, so there's all different levels of hockey there. So I was playing in that, and then we have a Thursday night group here in Kelowna. That's a pretty good group of guys: Todd Simpson, Wade Redden, Jordan Tutu, Rennie Bork, Brent Seabrook. So we got a pretty good group of guys that skate every Thursday, and I've been on the ice, but going in there and seeing a lot of the guys that I hadn't seen for a few years, and some of the guys who I hadn't met, and just the way the Leafs and the Red Wings plan things, and me being on the Red Wings for a bit too. I knew quite a few guys on that team, so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
I was in attendance for that game. I brought it up on this podcast. I just underdressed for this. I didn't wear boots or anything. It was the coldest day of my life and the longest game of my life. They shoveled the ice like every 3 minutes. Did you watch? Were you there for the actual game?
Yeah, we went. My one buddy, he was from Calgary. He came with me. Well, he purposely didn't move for like 2 periods, and his snow was building up on his coat. He had piles of snow up on his shoulders.
Oh, it was one of the coldest days of my life, but I'm sure it was amazing to play on that ice, but also the spectacle from the NHL, just the big shot too, I thought was really, really cool. And the Leafs won that game in a shootout, I believe, on a winner from Tyler Bozak. I want to turn it back to your era and the Pat Quinn era. And unfortunately, Leafs Nation lost to beauty in Sergei Berezin back in June. What do you remember about playing with Sergei Berezin?
Oh, Sarge was just a dynamic player. Like, he just could skate, could shoot, could score, and just you want to say kind of typical Russian scorer, right? Just just play loose and going, right? And but really sad. I'm not too sure what exactly happened, but I'm gonna miss him for sure. He was a big part of those teams and a great guy in the room. So really unfortunate. Unfortunately, we're just getting to that age where we're losing some teammates and friends, and it's quite sad.
Very nicely said, and certainly a legend in these parts, Sergei Berezin. I need you to debunk something for me. So I heard something about the Russians on that Pat Quinn Maple Leafs team that in between periods, they used to hack darts in the laundry room. Can you confirm or deny that, Cory?
Oh, that was Markov.
It's true then, huh?
That is awesome.
Yeah, well, you couldn't go outside anymore, at the Maple Leaf Gardens, right? Guys would just go outside, but at Air Canada Center, he just went into the laundry room and blew the smoke through the dryer vent.
That's great. I heard that some of the guys were doing that back in the day, and I never had a chance to ask somebody from that vintage if it actually happened. So great. I mean, we just found out right now. Wanted to ask you, one of our big gripes on this podcast is the atmosphere at Scotiabank Arena. When you played there, was Air Canada Center. I believe you joined the team in year 2 of its existence. What was it like to play at Air Canada Center? It just seemed like that building was rocking. It didn't matter if it was a Saturday, a Monday, a Wednesday. It was great.
Yeah, but it's still the same as it is today. Unfortunately, they had those great suites underneath the stands, and so a lot of people go under the stands and go into the suites, and you start drinking there and visiting, and 15 minutes, 20 minutes goes by pretty quick. So you don't really get to your seats until maybe the first whistle, right? So I still see it same as when we played. There were, the stands are still pretty empty. Unfortunately, the seats everything's just gotten expensive, and people, regular people can't make it to the games anymore. It's unfortunate. So I think that's where you get a lot of the businesses buying seats, and people coming in and, sitting in those seats aren't maybe the biggest Leaf fans and the loudest people. They're more business people. So I wish there would go back to those times where, regular families could afford going to the games, but it's just not the way it is anymore.
Well, speaking of the Leafs of today, do you follow, where the Maple Leafs are at right now? And if so at all, what do you think of the state of the organization right now?
Yeah, no, I follow the team. I don't watch a lot during the regular season just because of the time difference. By the time we finish dinner, the games are over, and but during the playoffs, I watch a lot of hockey during the playoffs, and I like their team. I like what they've done this year. I love Tanev. I mean, if he can stay healthy, he's an absolute beast. Fans are going to love him. He's like a Dmitry Yushkevich in my day, just blood and guts and block everything. And he's going to really help that team. Hakanpää is a big defenseman to help the penalty kill, and trying to think of who else they got on the back end.
Ekman Larson.
Ekman Larson. He played great. In that role of a 5th, 6th guy, right? It's perfect for him. He's not that 1-2 guy anymore. And so bringing that leadership, some veterans onto the D core, and because I look at that team, it's always been the defense that's been the weak link for me. The last few years, and if the guys, it's such a different game in the playoffs, and the superstars have got to figure that out on how to get to the dirty areas, and he can't win on the outside in the playoffs, and a couple of those guys got to learn how to get dirty and get inside.
And it's funny, Cory, just to wrap, everything comes full circle, because again, looking back a year era, the price you had to pay to win in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and now the Maple Leafs are trying to get bigger and stronger on the back end. And you look at the teams who win in the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's sort of the DNA that they take on, even dating back to when the St. Louis Blues won a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, 100%. I still think it's size and strength wins. Unfortunately, you got two different seasons. You got the regular season where you got the little guys, you're calling tight penalties, and the little guys are dynamic and they can get into spots and be successful. So you make the playoffs with your fast team, your quick team, and then you get to the playoffs, and definitely the games are called differently, and those little guys sometimes aren't the most effective. And as series go on, it's big guys that have the ability to just withstand the physicality of the playoffs and keep their strength throughout the long series.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.